everybody. Today we're going to be working with systems of equations and word problems. Okay. Right now we're going to read through this word problem, and we're going to only write down the important information from the word problem. So go ahead and follow along with me. It says Dr. Potter provides vaccinations against polio and measles. Each polio vaccination consists of 4 doses. So I'm going to highlight that. So each polio consists of 4 doses. And each measles vaccination consists of 2 doses. So last year, Dr. Potter gave a total of 60 vaccinations and a total of 184 doses. How many polio vaccinations and how many measles vaccinations did Dr. Potter give last year? Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put, this is X, and this is Y. And then I'm going to write down in words what they mean. But X equals polio vaccinations. That's what it means. Whatever your X is going to be polio vaccinations, and Y is going to mean measles vaccinations. I'm going to see if when we set it all up, if this is actually going to work. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put X right here plus Y, and we're going to set it equal to a total number. Now, do we know the total number of vaccinations that Dr. Potter? 60. So we're going to put 60 right here. So understand, this is where I am putting the 60. Now, in each one of these vaccinations, okay, for the polio, how many doses go with that particular vaccination? 4, yeah. 4. That's not very good. 4. There we go. Plus. Yes, sir. 2, you're right.
2y equals 184.
That's right. Equals a total number of doses. See, remember, this right here, this number deals with the dose. This number deals with the dose, so we have to use the 184 that also goes with doses. Now, we've already gone through the elimination method and the substitution method, so right now, all I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to go over it by hand. Like, how would you do this by hand? Here's how I would do it by hand. I would take this top equation right here, and I would multiply everything by a -2. If I was going to do this by hand, all right, and look what happens. I'm going to put the product right underneath here. That gives me a -2x minus 2y equals -120. Okay, and when I add these together, look what happens to all of my y's. They zero out. 4x minus 2x is 2x. 184 minus 120 is a total of, that's a 4, that's a 6, and so this becomes 64, and then I divide both sides by 2, and I get x equals 32. Now what does that mean? That means I have a total of how many polio vaccinations? 32. Now, in order to find the measles vaccinations, all I have to do is just take it away from a total of 60. So all I got to do to find my measles is go 60 minus 32. All right, do a little borrowing here. 5 minus 2 is 2. So you have a total of 28. This is how you would do it by hand using the elimination method. This is what you're going to have to know on your SAT, ACT, when you're not allowed to use a calculator or a decimal. This is the process we have to know. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we are actually going to use Desmos. I'm just going to write down the original equation. I'm going to start with x plus y equals 60, and then I put 4x plus 2y equals 184. Now you're going to be allowed to use Desmos in order to solve it. Now it's really raining, so you probably hear rain in the background. No, we are not in Seattle. We're just in Texas. All right, so here we go. X plus y equals 60, so I'm going to go to Desmos, and all I'm going to do is type in x plus y equals 60, just like that. And then I'm going to type in 4x plus 2y equals 184.
And you're like, I don't see anything. So what do we have to do? We go over here to this little zoom out. We go zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Oh, look at there. Voila. What are our answers? 32, 28. So now that I know that, what is Desmos great for? Helping you check your work by hand. Okay? For those of you who like shortcuts, it just helps you get to the answer. All right? 32 and 28. All right? So 32 polio. Oh, wait, hold on. Did I mess up here? Hold on. 32 polio. Hold on. X is what? We got to make sure we get this right. All right? So X is polio. Good. Just making sure. Let's go back to our screen. 32 polio, 28 measles. All right. Voila. There we go. All right. Here's the next one. I'm going to pause it, let you guys write it down.
All right. Wolfert lived in Portugal and Brazil for a total period of 14 months in order to learn Portuguese. He learned an average of 130 new words per month when he lived in Portugal and an average of 150 new words per month when he lived in Brazil. In total, he learned a total of 1,920 new words. Wolfert lived in Portugal for how many months and how many months in Brazil? So here's what we're going to do. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call this X. I'm going to call this Y. Okay? So that's what we're going to do first. Then we're going to highlight things that are important. Okay? So since Portugal's leading out in front, I'm going to say Portugal is going to be, the amount of Portugal is going to be X, and Brazil is going to be Y. Okay? And for a total, how long did he live there? He lived a total of 14 months. Right? So here's what I want you to write. I want the months he lived in Portugal plus the months that he lived in Brazil equal a total of 14. And there's our first system of equations. All right, so we have X equals months in Portugal. We have months Portugal. Right. And Y equals months in Brazil. Now, we're going to read the second one. Because in Portugal, it says he learned 130 new words every single month. And in Brazil, he learned, apparently he was a faster learner, or it was easier. Now, the weird thing is, by the way, do you know what they speak in Brazil? Nope. Nope. Portuguese. That's the funny part. All right. So, understand. That's why it says he what? He's learning what? Portuguese. So they speak Portuguese in Portugal, and they speak Portuguese in.
So you know what?
You're right. Absolutely. So here we go. Right now, he learned a total of how many new words? 1,920. So what are we going to put in front of X in our second one? What do you think? What number? 130. And what number are we going to put in front of Y? 150. And we have a total amount of new words, which is 1,920. Okay. Now, this one I'm not going to do by hand. Okay? I'm just going to type it into Desmos. I already talked to you about it. There's an elimination method video already. We're just going to type this in. The importance of this video is to make sure you know how to take words and create system of equations. So we're going to go and type these in and see what the answer is. We're going to go to Desmos. This time we're going to say X plus Y does not equal 60, equals 14. And then what did we have in front of the X? What was it? 130. And then 150. And then it went, what, 1,920. Okay? So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Right there. All right? Now what does the 9 represent and the 5 represent? Yeah. So we're going to go right back over here. We're going to say our ordered pair. Our ordered pair was a 9 and a 5. Do your ordered pairs add up to 14? They do add up to 14. So that's 9. And that's 5. Okay. All right, so we're going to write in 9 and 5. Working 9 to 5. What a way to make a living.
All right. Ooh, here we go. Next problem. Now I have 2 more left. Logan genetically engineered a new type of fir tree and a new type of pine tree. All right, so here we have fir and we have pine. So I'm going to make the height of one fir tree and the height of one pine tree. So we have one fir and one pine is a total of 21 meters. And then the height of 4 fir trees stacked on top of each other, stacked on top of each other is 24 meters taller than one pine tree. Oh, this one for the next sentence is going to be a little bit trickier. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. Each fir tree is X meters tall. Each pine tree is X meters tall. Sorry, Y meters tall. Put X here. Put Y here. And our first equation will be X plus Y equals a total of 21. That's the easy one. The hard sentence is this one right here. 4 fir trees stacked on top of each other is 24 meters taller than one pine tree. So I'm highlighting 4 fir trees. You're right. So we're going to put 4x. Now, you see this word is right here? This is a very important word. Anytime in a word problem you say something is something else, that is your, no, that's your equal sign. If I say something is, you're going to put 4 fir trees stacked on top of each other is with equals. This one says 24 meters taller. Taller means you're doing what? You are adding. So we're going to put 24 plus, it says 1 pine tree. Well, 1 pine tree is just going to be 1 Y. And those are your 2 system of equations. I'm going to pause the video if you get a chance to kind of write that information down. Honestly, what I would like you to do is I would like you to write the whole sentence. It's not that long of a sentence because it translates into 2. One of them is easy. One of them is slightly more complicated. So write this down in your journal. All right, so now, in your typical graphing calculator, what would you have to do? You have to solve for y. You have to, in order for this to graph, you have to do what? In order for y equals to work. All right, in order for y equals to work, what do both these equations have to be in terms of y equals? Okay, but Desmos, you don't have to worry about that. All right, so if you don't have Desmos, you're like Mr. Demuth, I don't have Desmos, so this is not going to be helpful. If I wanted to write this equation in y equals, this would be y equals negative x plus 21. You have to take the x and you have to do what? Move it across the equal sign. Whenever you move something across the equal sign, what happens to it? It becomes the opposite. Okay? All right, over here, this equation would be y equals, what would I have to move across? I'd have to move the 24 across. So this would be 4x minus 24. Then what could you do? You could type it in your graphing calculator, see where the 2 lines intersect. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to type it into Desmos exactly as it appears. So here we go. First one is x plus y equals 21. This one we have to change a little bit here. We're going to type in 4x equals, and it was 24 more than y. Voila. Okay, so Desmos basically graphs in any form. It just gives you the graph. Okay, you still have to interpret. What is that? A 9 and a 12. So right here, what does that mean? That means the fir tree is 9 and the pine tree is 12. That's how you do it. All right, here we go. Last problem. Giselle worked as a carpenter and as a blacksmith. All right, so we have a carpenter and a blacksmith. All right. Ultimately, it says that Giselle worked as a carpenter for a certain amount of hours. So I'm going to call that a carpenter is going to be dealing with X hours. Okay. And the blacksmith is going to be dealing with Y hours. Okay. And so we're going to create an equation based on it. All right, so let's highlight things that are important. Like
She earns $20 per hour as a carpenter, okay? And she earns $25 per hour as a blacksmith. Okay? And then it says Giselle worked both jobs for a total of 30 hours. So she worked both jobs for a total of 30 hours, and she earned the amount of money, a total of $690 for the amount of hours that she worked. Okay? So just remember, what does X represent? It represents hours of the carpenter, right? So carpenter hours. But X equals carpenter hours. Okay? And but Y equals the blacksmith hours. So the carpenter hours plus the amount of hours she worked as a blacksmith equals a total amount of hours for that particular week. How many total hours did she work for the week? 30. Now, every single hour she works as a carpenter, she gets paid how much money per hour? 20. Right, 20. Right, 20 per carpenter. And then how much money she worked as a blacksmith? She gets a total of 25. And she made a total amount of money, 6. Now some students might ask, well, how do you know which numbers go with which? Okay? Understand. The money, look, that's money, right? Money, money, money. All the numbers that deal with money are all on the same row. What does X represent? Hours. What does Y represent? Hours. What does 30 represent? It represents hours. So all things that mean hours, they are all in the same row. Now all we got to do is do what? Just type it in Desmos. If we want to use the elimination method, we can do what? Multiply by -20 or -25, add the equations together. But we're just going to type in the Desmos to see what our answer is. So we're going to put X plus Y equals 30. Then we're going to type in 20X plus 25Y equals a total of 690. Right there, we get a 12 and an 18. Do 12 and 18 add up to 30? They certainly do. All right, so there's our X, there's our Y. What does that mean? That means we found our X and Y. 12 and 18. That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to be able to read through word problems and do what? Build your own equation that replicates the given situation. Okay. So all I'm going to do is type in 12 and an 18 and call it a day. Then you get to see you got 100%. Great work. Yay.